Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the differences between VRBO and Airbnb, the top 3 things that separate those two platforms for each other and which you might find better to make money with your short-term rental. I'm Jason Wilson with Ursula & Associates. We make content like this and put it on YouTube for the consumers out there. If you're interested in more content like this, please go ahead and subscribe and give us a thumbs up below. It helps the algorithm. Let's get into this. Okay, so the 3 key differences that are going to be between those two platforms. Before we get into that, we should talk about the similarities. And the idea behind this is, well, why not put them on both? And you can, and we actually do. We put our short-term rentals up on both of those platforms using the integrated calendar so that we don't double book and have it out there so that we can pull from 2 different audiences. The similarities are pretty big across the board. Simply put, for a daily rate, you can rent out your property and make money without actually having a tenant in there by simply having transient guests. That's what it looks like. What are the differences? Difference number 1. On VRBO, you have to rent out the entire property. On Airbnb, you can actually list an entire property and rent only 1 or more of the rooms in the house without renting the entire facility. It's known as shared space. Key difference number 2 is how they actually charge the consumer. Now, the methodology is still the same in terms of using credit cards and whatnot, but one platform leans more in terms of its fees to charging the host, where other one leans more in its fees into charging the guest. Now, these numbers have changed a lot. It used to be where VRBO would charge the largest percentage to me as a host to be able to go ahead and rent out my property and then charge something small to the direct consumer. But Airbnb specifically was the one that was charging me less money, but the fees seemed to be a lot in terms of what the guest actually pays. When you see what the guest was charged versus what your payout actually is. Number 3 is going to be the insurance. So when it comes down to the policies and coverage, VRBO does give you a liability policy that they're protecting you because it's really their guest being in your house. They're the ones, it's their platform, and they're procuring this person to stay in your house. However, if that person were to damage your property or to damage the things in your property, your personal possessions like your coffee table, chairs, your hot tub, things like that, you can charge a deposit. Typically, I see people charge between $100 and $200 deposits, and that's all that you get to retain, and you basically have to claim that, make a claim against that money within a handful of days. Usually it's like 7, and I say it's like 7 because if you use a third-party platform like HostAway and you're doing your own collection through your own credit card processing, which VRBO will allow, you actually have less time to be able to claim that, so it does vary. But either way, you have a very short amount of time to claim that. And if they did, let's say they smoked in the property and it cost you $500 to have the entire thing clean, you don't have $500 in reserve to be able to pull back. So now you got to talk to a guest and you risk a bad review. And so do you take it on the chin and just move from there? Where on Airbnb, they have what's known as Aircover. I have found Aircover to be far superior, in my opinion, when it comes to protection. Now, Aircover not only protects you with a policy for liability, but it also protects the property itself. Now, what most people don't actually do is file any claims against the Aircover because they don't want to get a bad review. And believe me, a negative review will cause more damage to you than you're probably going to save in getting a couple $100 out of a guest. Let's talk about it for instance. If a guest were to smoke in your property or throw a party when they shouldn't have, and they've left the hot tub in disarray, and it costs you about $500 to have your property cleaned, and your cleaner charges you an extra $100 for the cleaning of the hot tub and the other stuff because of the grotesque nature it was left in. True story. If you turn around and say, I'm passing this $600 bill along to the guest, what you usually get back there is a horrible review. It's a revenge review, right? So the thing I love about Airbnb is they give you 14 days to file that claim. So what you do is you go ahead and document what happened. Your cleaners go in, you get all this information, you document it, you get pictures of everything, and you actually go into the platform and start a claim. You just don't submit it. Put all your stuff in there, put all your details in there, and just save it as unfinished. Then you reach out to the guest asking them, hey, I hope you had a wonderful 5-star stay. I hope everything was what you expected it to be. Please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate you very much. And with that follow-up, oftentimes they will say, great, it was a good time, we really appreciate you, and you get a 5-star review. Once that review is in, then you can review them. And if you have to go in and say, look, they were horrible, and give them a 1-star, or they were good, but they broke some of the rules and some issues, whatever that looks like, as soon as you give them the review, you'll be able to go back and see their review. And here's a key piece if you're taking notes. 1, go take a screenshot of that 5-star review they gave you so they can't go back and change it. Because once they see your lower review or your criticism of how they treated your cabin, they might want to go back and edit that review before it's actually locked. And if they do, you can very easily get through customer support showing, look, it's clearly a revenge review because here they gave me this 5-star review. Once I pointed out that they had smoked in the property, had a party, and left the hot tub disgusting, now they want to go back and change it. So you can protect yourself in that way. Once that's done, you basically reach back out to them and say, listen, I appreciate your review. I just have a last piece of business that we need to tend to, and that is the condition that the property was left in. I hope everybody's okay. I don't know what happened. If you have any more information about why it was left in this condition, please let me know. I would love to have that information. And again, I'll be submitting a claim through Aircover, and Airbnb will be in touch. And so this actually happened to me, and it was a young group of people, and they smoked in the cabin, and we found ashes everywhere. And so we had to bring in ozone machines, air scrubbers. They had to clean the walls. They had to do a bunch of stuff. They had someone gotten sick in the hot tub, and so that had to be filled, drained, and filled, drained like 3 times in order to be able to get that thing clean. And so there was an extra large bill with that. We were able to file that through Aircover, and the guest actually did immediately pay a good portion of that bill, and the rest of it's still outstanding. They'd actually paid us $400 of that bill on the front end, and I still got a 5-star review. That I did not find a way yet to be able to do that with VRBO, and realistically, that's kind of why I tend to like Airbnb better than I do VRBO, because it just mitigates risk and it's so much easier to get protection for stuff like that while you still get good reviews. And so those are the 3 big differences. Let's recap real quick. Difference number 1 is the entire property versus rooms in a property is one key thing. Number 2 is how they charge you differently between the platforms. One of them leans a little heavier to charging the guest, where the other one leans a little heavier in charging more money to the host. Now, I know some of you are going to say, no, I'm on that thing where I've got 10 of these, I pay $500 a year, and that's all they collect. They sunsetted that thing. It does not exist anymore. If you've got it, great. If you don't have it, where you have to pay the 8% per booking that's coming in, then to cover the credit card fees and etc., then that's just the differences between the two. Obviously, at the time of this recording, this is based on some of the research on my performa, what we're looking at, who I pay more money and what we get charged different on, and I find VRBO to be slightly more expensive as far as me having it on there. Now, do I have it on both? I absolutely do. I get a lot of great business from VRBO. That business tends to be, so here's your bonus content on this. The VRBO bookings tend to be larger bookings and further ahead, where my Airbnb bookings have less of a lead time, meaning 30 to 60 days. I don't typically see Airbnb stuff booking 7 months in advance, at least we're in my market. So if you have your own short-term rental and you have it on VRBO or Airbnb, let us know what you like better. Which platform have you had more success? What market are you in? And where are you leaning as you go into 2024 in this business? Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.